As they have for the past century, the bells of the Church of the Immaculate Conception continue to call parishioners to worship. This spirited church has thrived since its beginnings in the late 1800s, and it is this parish's commitment to God, its members, and the community it serves that has truly made this past 100 years a journey in faith.
Was 1899 when the Church of the Immaculate Conception was first founded. Catholics in Osakis were going to the priory or the Brotherhood farm near West Union for Mass and to receive the sacraments. A few Catholics from the northern part of town were going to Bell River. But the Osakis Catholics petitioned Bishop Trobeck, and he and Father Molitor from West Union got together with local men, and they began a church in Osakis.
The new Catholic Church, described as the largest and handsomest edifice in the city, was dedicated on December 17, 1899. 45 families made up the membership of the Church of the Immaculate Conception. In the early years, the church was served by Benedictine priests from St. John's and by priests from a neighboring church in West Union. In 1902, the church bought 2 acres of land west of town for their own Calvary Cemetery. In 1905, Father Philip Bonner became the first resident priest.
The old church went up very fast, and it served the people of Osakis until 1929, the height of the Depression. The church was not old, but it apparently had not been built too well because it was in bad repair.
At that time, a heavyweight boxer named Tom Gibbons attended the parish during the summer months and on weekends, and at the urgings of his wife, the wheels for a new church were put into motion.
The story goes that at one time, Tom turned to Mrs. Gibbons and said, "We really ought to do something about that bell tower, and those windows need work too." And Mrs. Gibbons said to him, "Oh, Tom, why don't you just build him a church?" And with that, the new church was underway, and that was in 1929.
The old church was demolished, and construction of the new building took place on the same site. The Gibbons donated the entire cost of the construction, and interior decor was donated by parishioners. Many of the current furnishings, including the altar and the stained glass windows, are original pieces installed when the church was built. And as the years went by, the church continued to grow. A new rectory was built in the 20s, and a beautiful grotto was donated to the grounds in the 30s. In 1951, a convent was built, and 3 sisters from Little Falls took their residence there. They taught religion classes, directed the choir, and prepared the altar for masses. And soon a Catholic school would add to the growth of the Immaculate Conception Church.
They began building the school in 1959, and it was completed and dedicated in 1960. There was a family in Osakis, the Pete Ruttons, and Pete owned the silo factory. He donated money to build the school, and his wife's name was Agnes. She had a devotion to the saint of the same name, and in honor of her, the school was named St. Agnes.
The Church of the Immaculate Conception, the convent, and St. Agnes School all came to be because of the dedication of a strong faith community. This same spirit is alive and well as the parish celebrates its centennial.
I would say this is a rare occasion. This is the first time in my life that I've been at a church that was celebrating their 100th anniversary. And I dare say there are very few people here in this church who have had the opportunity of being at a centennial celebration in a parish. It's covering a lot of history.
Through the past century, countless masses and services of both joy and sorrow have been celebrated at Immaculate Conception Church. 10 resident priests and a number of dedicated nuns have served the parish since its inception. They have provided leadership, spiritual guidance, and special friendship to all the parishioners. They have all left their mark on the church and on the hearts of those they served. This parish has also been blessed with 9 individuals who answered the call to a religious life. This is a true testament to the nurturing spirit found within the walls of the church. Through the years, the Catholic Church and its members have experienced many changes. Do you remember reciting Latin or struggling with the changes brought by Vatican II? Yet, through it all, it has been comforting to know that the reason we gather, to offer praise to the Lord and to celebrate the Eucharist, has remained unchanged. But change and celebration always brings about stories, and this 100-year-old church holds many memories. For some, it's the memory of a scratchy starched dress worn for a First Communion, or an oversized red altar boy cassock. And for some, it was simply the way we dress for church.
When the church was first built, then people had to get dressed up to go to church. They put on their very best clothing. In my own family, we all had a dress or a suit that was kept just for church. The women had to wear hats because, was it St. Paul who said you got to cover your heads? And Easter time was the time when you could tell the haves from the have-nots, because all the haves had new Easter bonnets. The others had to wear the ones they had from last year. As time went on, this began to change, and women no longer wore hats, but they did have to have some kind of head covering, so they wore veils or babushkas or mantillas. And then even that changed, and you would fold a piece of Kleenex, lay it on your head, and pin it down with a bobby pin. And then finally, they gave up completely and went bareheaded.
Perhaps it's the smell of incense or the twinkle of a votive candle that strikes a chord with you, or maybe it's a moment from a celebration.
Father Mome always had an army of altar boys, and they would sit on stools right beyond the communion rail. And for the consecration, they would go on into the sacristy and retrieve lighted candles in tall holders. And the whole church would hold its breath for fear that they'd set each other afire. And one time, one kid did catch fire, but the man sitting in one of the front seats leaped over the communion rail and put the fire out.
No matter what your remembrances, the Church of the Immaculate Conception has and continues to mold us into the Catholics we are today. The parish had its roots in the hard work and determination of the early settlers, and now its future lies in the hands of those reared lovingly under its rafters. A church that is 100 years strong is truly a blessing. The Immaculate Conception Church has grown from its humble beginnings of 45 households to 330 families. The church supports organizations ranging from the Knights of Columbus to the MCCL, from mission groups to Christian mothers. The love of God is alive, well, and flourishing in this church.
The people who started this parish are pretty much imaged in the people we have here at the present time. I see people here who are devoted to their faith, who are willing to live it, sacrifice for it, stand by one another. It's that kind of people that I think makes this parish what it is.
As we celebrate the centennial, remember that it is you, the people of this parish, who will carry this church into the new millennium. And it is you and God working together who will continue this journey in faith.